posted on X. I've been trying to wrap my head around how the flooding in Texas became so devastating so quickly. Why not evacuate? Then I saw this. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet into 46 minutes around 4 a.m. That doesn't even seem natural. To which you posted, you reposted this, and you put your own words. I heard.
Yeah. Destiny not only shared nudes unconsensually, he shared nudes of minors unconsensually. He didn't even ask the minors. Unacceptable.
God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN promo code Destiny to get around the Texas
fuck it, it's funny.
porn ban.
Okay, fuck it, it's funny. Fuck that shit.
On reflection, do you think that was grotesquely tasteless thing to be posting?
Absolutely not. The hand wringing here. Oh my God! Stop. If you want to talk about dead children, then you should talk about the residents of Kerr County who rejected using ARPA funds to build the very siren system that Ted Cruz was over here virtue signaling about. Now that the kids are dead, last I checked, the siren system isn't bringing anybody back to life. Okay, the very same system that they could have built for the better part of the last decade. They didn't want to touch those ARPA funds because they thought that if they did, Biden would go and steal their homes, which is the exact same lie that was told in
Brian Tyler Cohen is making the most concerned face I've ever seen.
North Carolina when people were rejecting FEMA funds because they thought that if the government was giving them money for their houses, they'd steal it. If you want to talk about grotesque and ghoulish things that are being said,
it's what you put online. I agree with you. It's what you run online. It is grotesque. It's disgusting. But I mean, I guess that's what you do.
How long have people like you told us that if we spend less money in Ukraine, you guys are going to spend more money investing in things like infrastructure in the United States? Where is that money going?
We just had another
massive debt increase. Another massive debt increase for more tax cuts for wealthy people. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
All right, let me get a Ben.
How's that deficit?
Oh no, the guy on the right, the co-host for Ted Cruz's show, right? The guy in the blue suit. Bro, he's like a level 10 like mob boss. Like he's like a level 10 bandit leader, okay? At the end of like level 1-10, okay? 1-10 in the tutorial zone in like a fucking gacha game, all right? That you have to defeat in order to complete the tutorial, all right? Meanwhile, like Destiny here is like the fucking final boss of the entire game that defeats you at the beginning of the entire game to show you just how strong you were before descending down to your noob status, okay? And then you have to, in the end, when you reach 10-10, you have to defeat Destiny, okay? Like, this is what it reminds me of.
What's it doing?
Don't talk over each other.
How's our deficit doing? Is it going up or down?
Don't talk over each other. But just to be clear, Destiny, you don't.
No answers. Just to be clear,
Destiny.
I'm going to talk.
Please stop talking.
I'm not going to sit here and argue about jokes when these guys are spreading lies that are leading to the actual destruction of these. Oh, except you guys.
Destiny coming up a bit too rapid. Yeah, sure, okay. But the thing is I just think we're just way beyond what's mean and not mean, and you know whatever the fuck is. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. It's just like. Frankly, I just don't care anymore about like what's mean and not mean when it comes to politics specifically, right? Because the thing is like maybe if I'm in the middle of an interpersonal conversation, I can understand, okay, I don't want to be too mean, right? Fine, yes, of course, right? Like if Ellie Eater or Bucko were to come on, okay, I would be like, you know what? You guys are like my BFFs, okay? You guys are my friends now. Let's go get soft tacos together, you know? But then, all right, if it's anything regarding like politics where it's like Republican lawmakers who have like condemned people to death and destruction, I mean, at that point, you can't be apologetic. You just can't. You can't be like, because they aren't optics pill. These people are not, they lay out their crimes for the whole world to see. Like, they are the most demonic, diabolical goblins to ever fucking exist. They're not Foodshops viewers. They're not another, like, content slop tube people, okay? Like, these people are the worst of the worst people. You can't give an inch to evil people, okay? No one would give an inch to Saruman after he revealed himself to be a fucking traitor to Middle Earth, right? Nobody would give an inch to, I don't know, insert fucking horrible person here, right? Like no one would. And even if you roasted like their dead daughters or whatever, I don't know. It's like, but also you have to think about this from, you know, efficacy lenses, okay? think about what's going on right now. Do you think that what the Democrats are doing right now is the most effective way to counter Republicans? Let's see. Well, let's see. Kamala Harris tried to act all nice for the Republicans, okay? And she was way too, you know, she had to like cater to her campaign managers in order to tone down her language. The reason why they stopped using the descriptor weird in order to describe the Republicans, even though it was working perfectly, is because they told her that it was too extreme. It was working. The word weird was working. We could have lived in a world where we could have still heard the word weird being described for Republicans, and then Kamala Harris would be the president right now, okay? This optics-minded shit has to go, okay? This optics-minded shit has to go, okay? Because if you think that this is way too, like, bad for optics, that's a slippery slope to saying that calling Republicans weird is too bad for optics, okay? Like, that is a slippery slope to that, okay? You cannot give an inch to these people, okay? These people take what they get. They have open rapists running for governor, and we're, like, virtue signaling over whether or not our politicians are pro-Palestine? Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Are you kidding me? Anyway.
Guys do when it happens in LA when it's about the wildfires?
I don't.
Because guess what? Clearly what the Democrats are doing now is not fucking working. Okay? It's not working. This optics shit is not working. All right? It's not. You have to take a book. You have to take a page out of the fascist playbook. You have to, because it works. That's why. All right?
Make jokes when
I'm not a
politicians
sick,
are getting
vile
killed
person
in
like
Minnesota.
you. Go look at my
oh,
X
just the
account.
rest of your
I don't
party
delete
is? Just the rest of your party
I
is?
don't delete
Don't talk
tweets.
over each other because we can't hear you.
All right, yeah, okay.
All right, but
So,
Destiny,
Piers,
just to
let me
be
say a couple
clear,
things here.
Destiny, just to be clear, you don't regret posting. I heard.
For the record, okay, if you think like these things are too edgy, guess what? Okay, you don't have to criticize in public like Wick TV did, okay? Like Wick TV and Counterpoints did, okay? By doing that, you're making your own side look weak by displaying the amount of infighting you have on your own side. Whenever the right starts infighting, we mock them, we make fun of them, we point out how weak they are. How do you know that they are not doing the same to us whenever the left starts infighting? They do it all the time. Every single time the left starts infighting, like with the Unfuck America tour, okay? I guarantee you people like Charlie Kirk, who is radicalizing quickly our next generation of young people, is laughing at that because he doesn't let anything like that get in his way, okay? Period. All right? So I guess what I'm saying is don't let perfection be the enemy of progress, okay? And in addition, if you have to criticize in private. You can, nothing is stopping you from being in private and saying, yeah, you know what? I have an issue with what you said. I actually do think what you said is too mean. I have a daughter who died to this. So what you said offended me, but I get you're trying to do it for political efficacy. There's nothing wrong with that. If you call it out in public, do you know what you're doing? You're trying to rally whatever grifter loser audience is there to listen to you to your side because you are a fucking grifter. Okay? That's what you are. You are a productive, like, a politician if you say it in private for improvement, like what the right does. Do you think the right is like completely free from critiques from the right? Hell no. Okay? I bet Charlie Kirk gets plenty of critiques all the fucking time in private. Right? Because they don't want to appear weak in front of the left. Of course not. Right? Okay.
God killed those kids because they were
I'm not
using
going to sit here and argue
to get
about
around the
jokes on
Texas
Twitter
porn ban.
while you allow the very same misinformation to spread on this program that leads to people not putting up siren systems, okay, because they think that Biden is going to go steal their
That wasn't my
homes.
question.
I think it is absolutely insane.
Wasn't my
I think
question.
it's insane that you want to go and hand-wring liberals over jokes that are not even half as crazy as some of the things these conservatives say.
Okay, but just to be clear, you don't regret doing it.
There's no tweet like that out there.
Okay, just to be clear, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Just to be clear, you don't regret posting it.
No, absolutely.
Okay, Ben Ferguson.
Piers, a couple of things here that I think there's proper information that should get out there. This is an area that I go.
I mean, like, again, how could you possibly put up with this level of crybullying, right? Like, what we are seeing here is literally the most vicious, most vile, most despicable crybullying, okay? It's just like every single time Brianna Wu starts taking shots at people, and then she starts complaining about her mental health and, like, how hard her life is, despite being viciously rich on Twitter, okay? Do you know how annoying that is? Incredibly annoying. Now imagine something like that, but 50 million times worse, okay? That's literally what conservatives do, except they kill millions of people, all right? Have you guys forgotten that I'm pretty sure more than 1 million people died to COVID? Really? You're gonna let mean tweets get in the way of criticizing millions of people dying to COVID? What's wrong with you?
Too often. It's an area that I've taken my kids dozens and dozens of times. It's a very small rural community. When it rains there's always flooding because there's a lot of rock in the ground and the water doesn't absorb in the ground. So you have flash floodings that happen very quickly. I've been there when this happens. This was a once in a lifetime 100-year flood. If you want to know about the funding for the system, it's an extremely small community and the price tag for it is very, very big compared to the tax base that they have in this small community. It is not because of the Matt Boone stuff this guy's talking about. That is not why the community decided 6 years ago to not do it, even though they wanted to. It was a cost issue. What's going to happen now is you're going to have state funds and federal funds, and that system will happen. But go back to this once in a lifetime flood that took place. No one.
Also, yeah, like, absolutely correct. What happened to legalizing comedy? What happened to that? Seriously, you can't have your cake and eat it too, all right? You either legalize comedy or you don't, okay? You either, like, make comedy funny again or you don't, all right? I'm sorry that this joke isn't funny to you and it offends you, right? I mean, fuck. Do you guys remember when Donald Trump's son tweeted out like Nancy Pelosi's husband's like hammer attack by that MAGA person and then said, "Oh, this is going to be my Halloween costume." Oh, now you remember that because I reminded you guys? Oh, do you know why it's not in your consciousness? It's because the Republicans know how to manipulate the media cycle fast enough to the point where your brain cannot comprehend the closing gap between now and fascism. Right? Oh, have you guys forgotten about, sexualizing minors, how the left sexualizes minors? Have you guys forgotten about how much the right sexualized Greta Thunberg? Oh, wait, you guys now just recall that too? Oh my God. You know, I totally forgot that the Republicans had that like Men in Black, like fucking, fucking memory eraser. Oh, now you remembered that? Oh, unlocking some memories for you guys? To this day, the right-wingers won't shut up about how they were right on January 6th. But now what? Now we have retreated back into the bog, okay?
Could have prepared or thought this was going to happen. People bought homes on a river where there was constant flooding, where they're built high enough up that flooding has never gotten there before in the history of their lifetime. So this is a tragedy that took place. And by the way, this is personal because I know people who lost children.
Who sexualized Greta Thunberg. Yeah.
There are funerals that are taking place.
Just to be clear, you're saying that there aren't
talking about a funeral for a second?
You're saying
let him finish,
up like 15 times. So you're saying there are no citizens saying that they don't want to use the American Rescue Plan funds. They didn't want to use that money because they thought Biden would take their homes.
I'm going to go back to what I said.
That transcript doesn't exist.
Can you let Ben finish, given he was talking about the funerals of dead children?
I have friends whose kids
Please let him finish what he was saying.
He doesn't care. As long as he admits he doesn't give a fuck about the dead kids. That's okay.
You know what, Destiny? You don't give a fuck about the dead kids, do you?
Admit it. I do.
Because you thought it was funny. You thought it was funny.
I'm not the one voting to take money away from these things.
You thought it was funny to go on X and talk about, I heard God killed those kids because they weren't using a NordVPN to get around the Texas porn ban.
It's stuff like this that makes me really hate Piers Morgan, okay? Fuck Piers Morgan, honestly. Like, this guy is actually despicable human scum, okay? He is scum. Piers Morgan is fucking scum, is what he is, okay? It is cruelty dressed up as nicety politics, okay? It is dead people dressed up as manners. That's what it is, all right? This is the reality of fascism, okay? I bet these people would be the kinds of people who would say, yeah, even though Hitler killed millions of people, can we just admit that he dresses nice when he comes to a meeting and he actually was a nice person in person? These are the kinds of people who would forgive that kind of shit if Hitler was Trump instead and not named Adolf Hitler. And the Nazi party was instead Maga.
That is disgusting.
I thought comedy was
You're
legal
the one
again.
using dead
Jokes
children
on
in a
Twitter
grotesque
don't kill
manner.
people.
So let me just lay
Jokes
that down
on
for the
Twitter,
record.
just to be clear, let me lay it down as well.
And yes, even though I think that Piers Morgan loves to shit stir for the sake of content, I don't think his shit stirring is equal. It is very clear that after watching a significant amount of Piers Morgan, that with MAGA influencers, he loves to cater to them. He loves to mention how much of a friend he is to Trump. He loves to mention how close he is to Trump and how he just got off the phone call with Donald Trump. He is in the pocket of Trump, okay? But no, he's not just kind of diabolical neutral agent for content. He's not. Okay? And I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of people pretending he's like that. Okay? Yeah.
How many people did my joke kill?
No,
You're
it's just
sick, man.
disgustingly tasteless.
Exactly.
You're a sick man.
And then how many kids died because there's no siren system? Because people like this guy over here made up the lie that Biden was going to steal your homes if you accept American Rescue Plan. If you accept American Rescue Plan money. Exactly.
I never made that up.
The difference is
I would like to hear
Ben.
Ben
Yeah,
finish the story he was telling us.
Oh, apparently Egghead made a fucking Piers Morgan bingo. Is this his account? Yeah, it is Egghead. Won't acknowledge any bad thing on their side. Shoehorn trans people. Are weather warnings even helpful? Cares about rando with their children. My friend Trump. A motherfucker does tic-tac-toe. True. Yeah, this is not bingo, dude. It needs to be 5 by 5 at least. Like, come on. It needs to be... Oh, okay. Okay, next time you make a 5 by 5, okay? Next time make a 5 by 5, okay? Based. Looks like your post blew up on Destiny, so based.
Well, he was talking about the funerals of dead children. So let him finish that, please.
What do you mean we didn't have the funerals? Wouldn't that be better?
Can we mute him?
Rather than you talking about why you were right to crack a sick joke. Ben.
Okay. I go back to the point here. This flood did not ask if you were liberal or conservative, rich or poor, black or white, or anything else in between. People lost their lives, and many people lost their lives trying to save kids. In an
Motherfucker, do we live in a vacuum? It's Republican policies and Republican ideas and Republican politics that condemned both people to death, okay? The flood may not care who they're wiping out, but Republican policies do. All right?
Unprecedented flood. If we could go back, I'm sure this community would have said, we'll figure out a way to have the money. You're dealing with an area that has a lot of volunteer first responders and firefighters. Can I finish, please? Like, maybe you'll learn something and not be such a tool.
You just lie.
You don't live there. You don't know. You've never been there. I've been there. I've talked to people. You don't know anybody that died in this flood. You're a POS. That's who you are. I would like to finish my point, Piers.
Finish it, Ben.
Thank you. There are people that died in this flood helping try to save the lives of others. There are elderly that died. I know people that lost children in this flood. They would love to go back and have a different warning system. By the way, we don't know if the warning system would have changed anything at all. The warnings came out early.
I'm gonna say the same point that I have been repeating time and time again, okay? The reason why people both on the left and the right, okay, leftists as well, in terms of Palestine, the reason why they wield children is because children cannot say on social media, hey, I don't consent to being used as a prop or a weapon. All right, does that make sense? The reason why children are constantly being used in these kinds of politics is because they can't consent to being used, so people consent for them. It's like assuming guardianship over over minor politics.
Unfortunately, there's spotty cell phone there. Everyone's talked about this. I'm sure there's people in the community that wish they would have maybe done something different in the past. Hindsight's 2020. But to say that the community decided not to do this because of some insane theory you've come up with, which is not true or based in fact. It was based on a small rural community with not a lot of tax base and a very expensive price tag for something. And for you to sit here and to somehow decide that this is a place to say something so sick. I'm assuming you don't have kids. I have 6-year-old and 8-year-old kids. If you talk to parents that are planning their child's funerals are happening.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know about Nathan. The one to be aborted, but yet escaped, okay?
Tomorrow and the next day here in Houston, I think you would have a little bit of a soul and a heart for them. But instead, you're out here putting this crap out there. And it's really sad. I hope you get help.
Let me bring in Brian.
Wow.
Brian, I want to talk just
Very
about
epic.
a wider point connected to what Destiny posted, for which he shows no regret at all, which is entirely his choice. But I can...
Hey, this is just a reminder. Okay, if you like my commentary, if you like the anger that I'm putting into my commentary, if you think that I'm a force for positive commentary, okay, on this sort of matters, please, a donation, super chat, membership, or otherwise would obviously be appreciated. Thank you. Okay. Open your hearts, open your wallets, okay?
Say my feelings, which I have. You know, a former appointee to a Houston city board said that Camp Mystic, where most of these poor young girls were at the time, was white-only, conservative and Christian, said Sade Perkins, a former member of the Houston Food Insecurity Board, said in a TikTok video. So take a look.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out there, this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a fuck. And all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported.
Now, A, I think that's completely untrue, what she said. B, it's
She is spitting on God for real, okay? Fuck! Yeah, she's a I'm sorry. You can't blame a motherfucker for spitting. Okay, she's spitting.
completely disgusting to say that in the aftermath of this, when these poor girls, many of them are still missing, presumed dead. But then there's a pediatrician called Dr. Christina B. Probst, who's been fired after posting on social media. She's a pediatrician, this woman. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County MAGA voted to get FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. And my question, Brian, putting that together with what Destiny posted, which again, for the record, I thought was disgusting, Destiny, I've told you. You can defend it as much as you like, but it was just a sick, awful thing to post. And if you had any humanity about you, you would delete it. But that's entirely your decision. But Brian, I've seen this on the other side too.
Bro, what the fuck? You think you can get Destiny? Destiny would rather get banned from Twitter than have Piers Morgan tell... Dude, Piers Morgan, oh my god. Piers Morgan thinks he's the CEO of the internet. Like Piers Morgan actually thinks he's the CEO of the internet, telling, like, Destiny to delete his tweet. Like, what the fuck? He thinks he's the king of the world. Destiny, delete that tweet. You're obviously being horrible. Delete that tweet. What are you, my dad?
I've seen this during the Biden administration when terrible things happen, that there's a race for people to get political, to play a race card or play this card or play that card, or just show a shocking inhumanity. And it's the very worst of society when that happens.
Okay, listen. It would be so based of Destiny, okay, the next time he says, you know what, Piers? Not only am I not going to delete my tweet, but I'm going to double down, I'm going to make something even edgier, and I'm going to say something because whatever you're doing will not work on me, okay? I don't know what you think you are. You're not my dad. You're not my father, okay? And you will do well to respect that I have autonomy, okay? Oh my god. I would be like, Destiny, I will serve under you, okay? Like, I would be like that if he ever said anything of that sort, okay? Please, for the love of God, Destiny, please say that. Please, please.
What do we do about this? I think it's fueled by social media.
Let your
People
rage
wouldn't
take
be
you
able
over.
to get the audience for this kind of thing without TikTok, without Facebook, without X and so on. But it's a sick thing that this goes on when these terrible tragedies happen.
Look, I obviously can't speak for what some random person on the internet tweeted about Camp Mystic. All I can say is look, I try to have some sense of the fact that there are as many Republicans in California as there are in Texas, and there are as many Democrats in Texas as there are in major big blue bastions. And so I try to focus on that and recognize that a lot of these people are a lot of these people are fighting against the same system that I would be fighting against, and I would obviously not attack folks in Texas, but I would point.
Wow, Brian, thank you for your nothing burger intro of a statement. I'm so glad we gained some kind of enlightening response out of you.
Out that Ben said that.
Oh, thank you.
Ben said that these storms aren't partisan, and
I'm so glad we're here to learn about fucking population facts about Texas and California. I guess what are you talking about?
And that we have to try. I can't remember what Ben said, but the reality is that while the wildfires were raging in California, Ben and Ted had a podcast where they just attacked where they attacked Governor Newsom and Karen Bass, and that was while the fires were still raging. And so spare.
Right, a show with uncensored in the
spare
title.
us
Yeah.
the.
Oh my god, dude! I wish that Destiny had infinite thinking time to come up with really good lines. I really wish Destiny had infinite thinking time to come up with like fucking banger one-liners. Okay, hey Piers, doesn't your show have an uncensored? Hey Piers, actually I'm gonna post this again. I just posted another one. Take a look. Right? Oh Piers, blah, blah, blah. Like there's so many things you could say. Oh fuck, but no one has infinite thinking time to it's like shower arguments, right? You only come up with things when you're relaxed and you're about to go to bed or you're showering or whatever, and then like trying to come up with these one-liners on the spot is hella hard. It's hard, okay?
The grandstanding and the virtue signaling
Did you
about
listen
how
to
this
what we
stuff doesn't
said?
get partisan. This was here's Ted Cruz's tweet. Right now, everyone is horrified watching the LA wildfires. In today's episode of Verdict, we break down the catastrophic policy decisions made by Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass. While the wildfires were still raging in Los Angeles, while I was standing on my roof in LA, spraying down my house with a hose to make sure that my house wouldn't set on fire when the fire was down the street within 1 mile.
I bet that here's the thing about Brian. Okay, he probably has a team behind him. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. He probably has he probably unironically has a fucking team behind. Fuck me, dude. Oh my god, just listen. You don't need
Did you
my house.
listen to the show?
And so Ted Cruz decided to come out and make his entire episode,
did.
which by the
Okay.
way, there's
a
not.
live
So
stream.
I'll tell you what we said because
Tragedy.
I was on that show.
Excuse me,
There's
let
not
him
a
finish.
tragedy
We were
that
crying
Ted
so much
Cruz-
about people interrupting. Let him finish.
I know.
Although to be fair, as much as I criticize, Brian Tyler Cohen, okay, remember, you have to be unapologetic when it comes to propping up your own side. Unapologetic, okay? So yes, you do on this panel, you do have to prop up Brian Tyler Cohen no matter what he says, okay, period. Because there's no depths in which Republicans will not sing to, okay? You cannot display any kind of infighting on this panel if you are a liberal, okay? Yeah, even if you think Brian Tyler Cohen is cringe or soy or whatever, if you're on this panel, your job is to fight, okay? Your job is to fight for your side, okay? It doesn't matter if he's an imperfect ally, okay? Because infighting will only make you and him look both weaker, okay? Period. Right?
And is arguing for Destiny.
You
to be
said
muted,
we
and
did
now
a
he can't shut
show.
the
You're
fuck
putting
up.
words in our mouth of something we didn't
I'm not.
say.
I read the tweet verbatim. That's
Did
what I
you
did.
listen
But
to
while
the
Ted-
show?
while-
No,
I
did you
didn't.
listen? So I'll tell
Did
you
you
what
watch-
we did.
So yes, you have to back up. Yeah, again, you have to back up BTC like this, okay?
The Lifetime
Piers.
movie. Did you see the
What
documentary?
we did was we talked
There is
about
not a
the
situation
decisions
where
that were
Ted Cruz
made
will not.
in
There is not a
favor
situation where
of-
Ted.
I mean, in addition, okay, I think there's also a psychological aspect to this as well. Like if you prop him up, if you prop up BTC, right? He will obviously argue better because why? Because he's going to feel more confident. He's going to feel like you have his back. So he's going to start feeling as though, oh shit, I can be a little smug here, right? I can be a little smug here. All right, I've got my back is covered. Okay, you know.
Well, let Ben say what he thinks he said. Let's listen to Ben.
I'll redo the show in a very quick form. What we talked about were the decisions that were made with underbrush not being cleared out and the massive warnings that were coming. We also talked about what the fire chief said about those warnings. We talked about the lack of water pressure. We talked about them cleaning up some of the holding tanks. We talked about also the fact that there were certain things that were done to save fish over having the ability to fight these types of fires and everything that went into it. We talked about the decisions that were made that then made for a poor response that made you have to be on your roof, as you described it, spraying down because there wasn't adequate decisions that were made with those winds that came through with the underbrush.
You think the reason that I was
100 points made a Reddit post on Israel and Palestine. Why are you doing it? Yes.
On my roof was because while the Santa Ana winds were ripping through LA at 100 miles per hour and 50,000 acres of LA were burning, that some bogus fucking story about the smelt, about Delta smelt is why LA was burning. You're a joke, bro. You have no idea what you were talking.
I like how after, dude, this is why, guys. Do you guys see it in real time? Do you guys see why you have to be unapologetic in real time? Oh my god. This is literally it in action, okay? Have you guys noticed what's going on here? Just think about it for a moment. What do you think is why do you think... Fuck. This is such a good example of this. This is such a good example. What happened is that after before Brian Tyler Cohen was being more passive, right? He is, being a little bit more pensive, shy. He's obviously still strong. He's a good debater, okay? He's not bad. He has facts and information on hand. He brings out the statistics, okay? But he's not as edgy, not as forceful as Destiny. But now after Destiny lowered the bar in terms of behavior and is unapologetic about the way that he presents on the panel, now Brian Tyler Cohen feels more confident in meeting Destiny's bar, okay? Now Brian Tyler Cohen is beating the soy out of himself. He is killing the part of himself that cringes, okay? He is embracing the part of him that is cringy, okay? He is embracing his inner cringe to be more edgy, to be more smug, to be more like a Republican spokesperson, okay? This is what matters. This is why it matters, okay? Do you see here? So Destiny unapologetically backs up Brian Tyler Cohen. He is unapologetic in his own rhetoric, and now Brian Tyler Cohen feels, wait a second, if Destiny can do it, I can do it too. Wow. Optics losers, stay losing. Okay, but actually, no, fuck it. This is optics. Okay, this is optics strategy. This is literally optics math. Okay, like this is literally optics strategy. Okay, so this is actually good optics, not bad optics. Okay, sorry, I'm tired of saying this is bad optics, weaponized or whatever. This is good optics. Period. It's just good optics. Okay, that's it. Okay, fuck. Like anyone seeing this would go, BTC and Destiny cooking. They'd be cooking, all right? Anyone who isn't like a fucking MAGA tard, okay? Yeah.
5 different reasons.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm quoting the people in your government in California.
There is no amount of water pressure in the world through these hydrants that are going to be able to put out 50,000 acres of fire.
Yes,
you did. You're talking about smelt, and you're talking about no water pressure.
I didn't say that. If you turn on every hydrant, you lose water pressure. That's not what I said, by the way.
Let me grant you the larger point, though, and I think the point that you're trying to make, I'll grant you this, even though you don't deserve it, and you're just going to spew a bunch of bullshit about smelt and water pressure.
Okay, brother.
But let me grant you the larger point and say that there are still things that people could do. And I'm not here to argue that California did a perfect job or does a perfect job with regard to how they manage all of this stuff. But to that point then, do you think it's maybe a little stupid that Trump would fire 10% of NOAA's workforce, which is about 1,300 staffers and researchers? Do you think it's a good idea then that Trump called for reducing NOAA's workforce by a further 17%, which would be another 2,000 staffers and researchers? Do you think it's a good idea that Trump slashed 20% of FEMA's workforce?
Yeah,
do you think it's a smart idea to phase out FEMA completely? Do you think it's a smart idea that 25% of NWS's stations last lack of meteorologists. All of this stuff is
so
planned.
let's go back to the basics here. If you're asking about the size of government and the president making a decision to reduce the size of government when it makes sense, I have no issue with that. By the way, the staffing and the lies that were put out by many on the left and the media was that there was understaffing when it came to the warnings that were coming out from the National Weather Service. That was a lie. They were staffed above normal staffing levels. They held people over the day before and the night of the storm in Texas. They had double the staff on staff when the storms were hitting. There's a timeline of all the texts that were going out and the warnings that were going out. And so you're acting as if Donald Trump caused a problem with the flood and the response to it in the warning system, which is a lie. When you have double the staff, which is the protocol, by the way, under Obama, under Biden, and under George Bush. So this is nonpartisan and everyone showed up for work and people were held over. You're now just trying to score political points on the lives of dead children for political reasons.
Okay, let me ask. Hang on. Let me bring in Natalie because you should be waiting patiently. Natalie, when I read out what Destiny posted there, what was your feeling about that?
Well, I think that's probably the textbook definition of what it means to be a grifter, trying to profit off of dead children by pumping NordVPN and your promo code. It's reprehensible. I'm pretty sure you're an atheist. You don't believe in God. You certainly don't believe in traditional marriage. So I would expect nothing less that you would double down and defend it. Blows my mind. I mean, I agree comedy is important, but I don't think, no offense, maybe shouldn't be a stand-up comedian if you want to start your career by posting about dead children. It's really not all that funny. And it really wasn't even a joke. You were trying to profit off of it. So I think that's sort of a compounding evilness to what you did.
What do we do, Natalie?
So real quick, for compounding evilness, just so I could read this because it's entered into the record, okay? I'm just curious if Ben wants to say, is this quote fake, okay? So there's hundreds of these quotes, all right? At a county meeting, okay, where the citizens are giving feedback on whether or not they should use the American Rescue Plan funds, all right? Citizen Mr. R says, there's not just a lack of transparency, but the Biden administration is pulling the wool over our eyes. If we see what's actually written, we make a clear decision. This is wrong. Texas has been going in the right direction.
I think Destiny should just like start quoting. Sorry, I'm also getting like I'm also like multitasking. I think you know what Destiny should do. Destiny should just like start fucking he should start like quoting the Bible. I think he should just like start like listing out Bible quotes.